This is my Q&A for this Thursday, August 20th, 2009. And within this Q&A, now I'm going to split these questions up into two separate Q&As. So if you don't see your question answered within this video, it'll be answered within the next Q&A. Not sure when I'll do that because I know tomorrow I'm going to be doing my little preview and predictions for the WWE SummerSlam pay-per-view that's coming up this Sunday. Might do it Saturday, but not quite sure. But I should start, saying when I do a Q&A video, say I'll, do it at some point instead of saying I'll do it this separate day. Because I did say I would do this Q&A last Friday or Saturday, I think, but something came up, couldn't do it. I didn't do it right then. So not sure when I'm gonna do that. Might do it Saturday, but don't take me on my word for that. But I will definitely do it at the latest sometime next week at sometime. So if the question isn't answered in this one, it will be answered in the next one, because I did get a ton of questions. Definitely I thank all of you for sending them in. So like I said, if it's not answered in this one, it will be answered in the other one, because I am pretty much answering every single question that y'all did send to me, unless it's like a repeat or something that I've already answered before. First question is from Kingpin88. What Hardy do you like more and why? Out of the Hardys, Matt and Jeff Hardy, I prefer Matt Hardy over Jeff Hardy, just because I think Matt Hardy, he has more of a passion for the wrestling business. I think Jeff Hardy at one point, he had passion for the wrestling business, but now I feel that unlike Matt Hardy, I think Jeff Hardy, he just does it, as a job. That's the way a lot of professional wrestlers, pretty much their career kind of goes. They do something as a hobby, they like doing it, then they just pretty much do it as a job, which isn't bad, because obviously Jeff Hardy, has to do it, to pay the bills. But I think he's lost his passion just a little bit for professional wrestling. Now he's just doing as, a typical day job, where Matt Hardy, I think, still has the passion. And I think Matt Hardy's the more, superior in-ring worker out of the two. Now, out of the two, which one is more entertaining and marketable? Obviously, Jeff Hardy. I'm not the hugest Jeff Hardy fan, but I'll at least admit, Jeff Hardy, he's obviously the marketable one out of the two, and he's actually one that people could say, is exciting, worker. He's not a great in-ring technician, but he's a great, entertainer, kind of like, Cena, kind of like Rock, Austin, Hogan, that type of entertainer, where he's not technically, a great in-ring worker, but he gets the crowd so involved that he does a good job of entertaining the fans. But Matt Hardy, I would say, is the more superior in-ring worker. Plus, I feel, even though neither one I would say is really great on the mic, but I'll say Matt Hardy is a tad bit better than Jeff Hardy on the mic. Jeff Hardy, at times, one or two times I've seen him, when he's really motivated or there's a really good feud going on, he could actually cut a pretty decent promo. But like I said, I'll still choose Matt Hardy over Jeff Hardy, and that's probably, a lot of people obviously choose Jeff Hardy. I'm probably in the minority there by selecting Matt Hardy. Next question, same user. What TNA pay-per-view is your favorite? My favorite TNA pay-per-view is Unbreakable 2005. This, in my opinion, is TNA's best pay-per-view. For a couple reasons. I thought the card for this pay-per-view was pretty good. And the main event right here is easily TNA's best match of all time. It is easily a 5-star classic, and that's the AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe Unbreakable 3-way classic. But you had other stuff on this pay-per-view that was good. Not only did you have the X Division talent in the main event, you had 3 of your homegrown talent in the main event. That made it very good. You actually had a decent world title match on here with Raven and Rhino. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it was pretty solid, I thought. You had a pretty decent 4-way tag team title match, which had the Naturals, America's Most Wanted, Team Canada, and you had Alex Shelley and Johnny Candido teaming up. This was when they were doing the thing with the Candido Cup a couple months after the passing of Chris Candido, and you had Johnny Candido and Alex Shelley team up together. That was not, nothing good to see them two team up with, but it was a pretty decent tag match. You saw not only the main event was X Division matches, you saw 2 other matches that could be classified as X Division type matches that were pretty solid. You had Sabin versus P.D. Williams, and you had Austin Aries versus Roderick Strong in the opener of the pay-per-view, which was very good. And you had Abyss versus Sabu, which was something cool to see. Like Raven and Rhino, neither one of those were, an excellent match, but they were both 2 good hardcore contests. And As far as the 2005 pay-per-view, that's easily my favorite TNA pay-per-view of all time. And I think that's probably one of TNA's best pay-per-views of that year in 2005. Even though Lockdown 2005 almost selected that as my best favorite pay-per-view, but I felt, just the three-way X Division title match with Joe, Daniels, and Styles, that's the main event. And the rest of the card was pretty solid. I had to choose Unbreakable 2005. Next question is from the same user. If WWE gave you a job and had you select 15 workers that are not in WWE at this point, who would those 15 be? The 15 people would be, which a lot of these are predictable. A lot of these people will probably know I'm going to select them. There's a few that some people might be surprised, like I'm including them in 15 people I would select. Bryan Danielson, that's a no-brainer. You have to get him. Nigel McGuinness, just like Danielson, pretty much a no-brainer. I would get Kenta. Kenta's probably one of the greatest wrestlers going today in Japan. He's definitely had a great year. I would say this year in 2009, he's easily the MVP of 2009, Wrestler of the Year of 2009. At this point, you already got 4 months left within this year, but I think it's okay to already pencil in that Kenta is Wrestler of the Year. Next one might surprise some people, and that is Kota Ibushi. I really enjoy his work, and I think with some of the talent I got in here, especially with Kenta, he could work very good. Mike Quackenbush, I think Mike Quackenbush is one of those guys that obviously he does a lot of stuff with Shikara. He's pretty much the founder of Shikara. I would like to see him in the Ring of Honor more, but obviously since he's got a lot of commitments with the Shikara organization, with training, production and everything like that, pretty much doing all that, he cannot work in Ring of Honor that much, which is unfortunate because I would really love to see him in Ring of Honor full time, but that's obviously never going to happen due to him doing stuff with Shikara. And then I would have some tag teams within there, because I think you need to have a solid main event division, which those first couple and a few more could be going in there, but I think you need some tag teams. So I would have the Briscoes, Jay and Mark Briscoe, the Young Bucks, Nick and Mac Jackson, and Kevin Steen and El Generico. And Kevin Steen and El Generico, you could have them be a tag team, plus you could have them be singles competitors. And with Mark Briscoe being so injury prone, obviously at some point you probably have to have Jay Briscoe be a singles competitor as well. As far as the Young Bucks, keep them as a tag team. Davey Richards, I think, would be good for here. Marufuji, Austin Aries, and Tyler Black to round it out with 15. I think right there you could have some excellent stuff. Kota Ibushi and Tyler Black, they've worked very good with each other in the past. Kenta and Ibushi, Danielson and McGuinness. You got Austin Aries in there as well. So Quackenbush. So all of them can kind of be the main event. Then you have 3 tag teams that could work very good with each other. The Briscoes and Young Bucks, they could have like a tag team feud for 3 to 4 months. You could have the Steen and Generico get involved as well. You can have El Generico kind of do stuff with Kota Ibushi, Tyler Black. Kevin Steen, he can kind of contend for the heavyweight championship. So I think those 15 right there would be the best, guys that are not within WWE as far as 15 guys, because I wanted to get, guys from Japan, and I wanted to get guys from Ring of Honor, and I wanted to throw Mike Quackenbush in there because I think Mike Quackenbush is probably easily the best indie worker going to date. Next question is next question is from BluggoBen01. I hope I got that username right. Would you like to see another feud between Austin Aries and Jimmy Jacobs, with Aries being a heel and Jimmy Jacobs being a face? These two had a very good feud last year, and I really enjoyed it, and definitely wouldn't have no problem seeing this again. And it would be a good dynamic and a good switch up of it, seeing how this feud will work out if Austin Aries was the heel, Jimmy Jacobs was the face. Now, Jimmy Jacobs hasn't really been a face in a couple years, and even though I know he can do the face thing, it's kind of hard at this point. It's going to be kind of hard to put him back as far as being a face, since it's been so long, and I think he does so good as a heel. But Aries is doing such a good job with this obnoxious heel gimmick that he's got as Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. I think it could possibly work out, and Jimmy Jacobs, get some type of face reaction, but it would definitely be a little hard work to try to do. Next question is from the same user. If you could pick anyone at all besides Paul Heyman to replace Vince Russo at TNA, who would it be and why? Well, if it's not Paul Heyman, I think the next person in line that would easily fit that position very well is Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette is easily one of the greatest minds in professional wrestling. Now, the only problem with Jim Cornette I could see if he became the creative guy in TNA, obviously it would be a huge switch up from Vince Russo. I think he would do a good change up with TNA, but I think the one problem is that I think his booking philosophy might be a little too old school, which that might lose a little, viewership within TNA, where I think Paul Heyman, I think, he did a good job with WWE SmackDown back in, I think, what was it, 2000 or 2003, did a very good job there. And Paul Heyman, made that, casual fans liked it back then, diehard wrestling fans liked it, and I think Paul Heyman does a better job of kind of working for both sides, making both sides like it, not only the diehard wrestling fans, but the casual fans as well. And I think Cornette, I think his philosophy might be a little too old school, that I think it would definitely help it, but I don't know if it would help TNA get to that next level where I think Paul Heyman could take him to that next level if he actually came in TNA and actually overhauled the whole entire, booking and creative staff and changed everything in TNA. How much potential do you see in the Hart Dynasty? They seem to be getting a great deal of attention ever since they were traded to SmackDown. As far as the Hart Dynasty, Tyson Kidd and David Hart Smith, I think they do a very good. I think they're a very good tag team. I think, unfortunately, I would say they should got a lot of attention, have a lot of potential. But the thing is, WWE's tag division is so weak. You got Big Show and Jericho, which is thrown together tag team. You got Crime Time, a tag team that I personally don't like, but have never got their due. And the Hart Dynasty, with that, you really have such a weak tag division that they have potential, but unless WWE had a good tag division, they're not really going to go anywhere. I don't think WWE would really do much with either one as far as a singles competitor. Maybe, IC title, but nothing further than that. That's the furthest I see them going if they actually, singles careers, tag division. If the tag division was actually good in WWE, they would have a lot of potential, but unfortunately, the tag division is terrible in WWE. I think everyone knows that. And finally, who do you consider to have the best potential right now in Ring of Honor's tag division? I personally have my eyes on the Young Bucks. Well, I'm gonna agree with you right there. I think the tag team that has the most potential in Ring of Honor's tag division is the Young Bucks. I think they're going to do a lot of great stuff within Ring of Honor's tag division. I think a feud with the Briscoes would be excellent. Even though I would say if you don't choose the Young Bucks, I think Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, the American Wolves, I think the only reason why I wouldn't say I would include them as far as potential, because I think they already got their potential. They're Ring of Honor tag team champions, and the Young Bucks are an up-and-coming tag team. And another tag team to look out for in Ring of Honor is the Dark City Fight Club. Forgot if it was Corey Chavis or John Davis that got injured. So when they come back in full health, that could be a tag team to look out for as well. But I would easily pick the Young Bucks as far as the tag team that has the most potential in Ring of Honor's tag division. Next question is from McFlybender89. What type of specialty match would you like to see brought back to WWE? Choices are Inferno match, Ambulance match, Bra and Panties match, 3 Stages of Hell. Well, we already saw that return recently. Iron Man match, or Boiler Room Brawl. As far as those matches right there, as the Boiler Room Brawl, that only worked out one time, and that was back in 1996 with Undertaker and Mankind. So other than that, that match has not really done anything. Ambulance match, same thing. I think the only time that really was successful was during the Kane and Shane feud. One match I would like to see brought back is an Iron Man match, and I mean the 60-minute Iron Man match, not the 30-minute Iron Man match. But the one thing is, I don't know if WWE's really got anyone within their company that really can pull off a 60-minute Iron Man match and make it excellent. Shawn Michaels and John Cena, they had that very long match on Monday Night Raw that was very, very good. So those two workers, they could possibly pull it off in a 60-minute Iron Man match. We haven't seen, I think, a 60-minute Iron Man match since the Triple H versus Chris Benoit match on Monday Night Raw back in 2004. And last time we saw anything that was an official Iron Man match, but it was a 30-minute Iron Man match. I think it was back in October 2005 with Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels. So we haven't seen an Iron Man match, I think, to my recollection, since 2005, and that was a 30-minute one. And I don't think we've seen an hour Iron Man match since I think, what was it, either June or July of 2004 with Triple H versus Benoit on Monday Night Raw. Next question is from you farted. What a ridiculous name, but I'll get on to your question. Hey, I was wondering, why do you think Cody Rhodes doesn't have any potential to be a World Heavyweight Champion? Why just a jobber or mid-card forever? And why does Ted DiBiase have the potential? The one thing about Cody Rhodes is, I'm not going to say Cody Rhodes is the worst professional wrestler, but the one thing is that I feel that he's going to be stuck as a mid-card or jobber for the rest of his career is a couple things with him. Okay, he has a very generic look, very generic in-ring attire. That kind of holds him back right there, just his look. And the one thing is, he's terrible on the mic. And you would think someone with the relationships to Dusty Rhodes, you would think he would be great on the mic, but he's piss poor on the mic. Ted DiBiase, he isn't, excellent on the mic, but he at least is pretty good on the mic and just needs a little improvement, where Cody Rhodes, he needs more than just a little improvement. And the one thing is, I don't think he's that good within the ring, and he's pretty small as well, where Ted DiBiase, he's small as well, but I think the thing that Ted DiBiase has that Cody Rhodes doesn't have is, I think, the one thing he has is, I think Ted DiBiase has a better, persona and look to him that could make him go somewhere. He's actually a good in-ring worker. I've been pretty much a fan of him since, I think, either 06 or 07, whenever I saw him in Pro Wrestling Noah. And he's great on the mic as well, and he just needs a little improvement right there, but I think he definitely can work in the main event. I mean, he had a good match against Randy Orton on Monday Night Raw that pretty much, I think, they kind of looked away for now, but I think at one point you're going to see Ted DiBiase either turn on them, or Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton turn on him, and then have him go to the main events. Now, I think it will still be like a year and a half, maybe 2 years down the line until he actually will be contending for a World Heavyweight Championship. I just feel Ted DiBiase has a lot of potential with him, where Cody Rhodes just doesn't. I think, he doesn't have anything that looks anything other than, a very generic worker, generic look and everything, terrible on the mic. I don't think WWE would do much with him. Next question is from the same user. And also, when do you think Kofi Kingston will have a major push for the title? Now, a major push for a World Heavyweight title, that might be pushing it for Kofi Kingston. He is very over with the crowd, so that's the one thing that can really help him out. Guys like him and Evan Bourne are so over with the crowd that at some point, if they keep getting that reaction just within the mid-cards and they start getting more over than some guys in the main event, hey, just have them contend for it. They don't have to win the World Heavyweight title, but they can contend for it. Where Kofi Kingston, I think at the most he's going to contend for it. I don't ever see him winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And what do you see in The Miz? Is WWE trying to kill him for banning him from SummerSlam and Raw and losing to John Cena? Well, the one thing is WWE has done a bad job with this John Cena versus Miz feud. The match they had, that pay-per-view, was, just nothing more than John Cena pretty much squashing him. The match they had the following night on Monday Night Raw was the match that I was wanting to see on the pay-per-view, but you had the match on the pay-per-view already happen, so that kind of takes that away. They needed to book in the match, kind of like they did with John Cena and Jack Swagger back in the month of April. Have it be a match where, obviously, John Cena goes over. You're not going to have The Miz go over in the match, but at least make it seem like he's credible, which is the one thing they didn't do within there. Now, they did the whole Calgary Kid thing where he got back on Monday Night Raw. Maybe, with him being back on Raw, maybe they will do something with him, but I was thinking after they did the thing, him getting banned from Raw and not being on there anymore, I think it would have been much better if he would have, switched brands to SmackDown or ECW, just because I think back on Raw, I don't think they're going to do much with him, but yeah, they'll have him do something with the U.S. title, but I don't think WWE's going to do much with him, unfortunately. I don't think he's a great worker or anything, but I think he has such a good character that I think you need to do a little more with him than just the mid-card division, I think. But it might be a little too early for the main events. And last question, will John Morrison be put into the title picture now, since he is getting such a big push and had such a great match with Jeff Hardy on SmackDown? If he doesn't go into the title picture, when will he be officially established as a main eventer? Now, right now, it's almost arguable. You could say he's almost established as a main eventer, but not an official main eventer right now. But I think, you know, by the time of Survivor Series or Armageddon this year, I could see him going against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title. Them two have very good chemistry with each other, so I don't think many people would have a problem with it. And they could, you know, perform very good matches with each other. So I think sometime by the end of this year, you're going to see him contend for the world title. Now, do I think he's going to win the world title? No. I think the one thing they might do is have him win Money in the Bank next year, but have him cash it in like RVD did, have him cash it in an official match, and maybe win the world title sometime next summer or the end of next year, because I think right now it's looking like WWE is slowly pushing him to that. I don't think he's just going to be contending next year for the title. I think next year you could easily say he's probably going to be World Heavyweight Champion on the SmackDown brand. Obviously, you know, got guys like Undertaker on there, but Undertaker puts over, you know, the young guys, and, you know, he doesn't have no problem with that. So with that right there, John Morrison's definitely going to be probably a world champion sometime within the next year and a half on the SmackDown brand, maybe even sooner. Next question is from the Phenom 8809. Do you think WWE and TNA should allow more wrestlers to write their own promos and be more involved in their storylines, or do you think that would hurt the product? Now, the one thing is you don't want to have a wrestler have creative control and be like Hulk Hogan, but I think wrestlers do need to have more freedom with, you know, their promos. Don't have it be so scripted. It really hurts the art of the promo. It just needs to be like, just give them a few bullet points. I know Paul Heyman felt like this, and Gabe Sapolsky felt this way, where wrestlers don't necessarily need to have scripted promos. Have them just have bullet points. Like, for example, if, you know, someone's going against John Cena, you'd have the bullet point John Cena pay-per-view and something else, and just have bullet points and have the wrestler just go off that and flow with that, and it comes off more genuine and original like that, other than having a scripted promo that just sounds, you know, so scripted where it comes off very bad. But as far as involvement in storylines, they could have a little say-so in it, but not to the level where they have creative control. Next question, do you watch ECW, and if so, which of the new superstars on that show do you think has the most potential? Don't really watch ECW, but I have seen some of the matches of some of the newer guys that have been brought into WWE on the ECW brand, and I've seen some of them in FCW as well. As far as the most potential, I think Yoshi Tatsu, I think he has the most potential, and I think he's going to be the guy out of there that's going to be the shining light on ECW. Sheamus O'Shaughnessy, I've seen some of his stuff in FCW. He doesn't seem bad, but just the whole Irish gimmick, I understand why they give it to him, but that thing might kind of hold him back a little bit. You know, typical Irish gimmick, very stereotypical Irish gimmick. That might hold him back a little bit, but he actually isn't too bad. He's better than some guys that are probably within WWE. I'll at least give him that, but he's not anyone that's great, I don't think. Do you think Mick Foley has tarnished his legacy by what he is doing in TNA? I don't think Mick Foley has really tarnished his legacy. I think the one thing is TNA has made their World Heavyweight Championship a laughingstock and a joke with him coming in and winning the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't think Mick Foley's really tarnishing his legacy. I think TNA has just made their title a complete joke and everything with what they did, have him win the world title, and it just came off so bad that it kind of hurt Mick Foley's legacy. But Mick Foley is one of those guys people aren't always remember as, you know, that tough as nails, hardcore wrestler, you know, Cactus Jack persona, him getting thrown off the Hell in a Cell, so he didn't really hurt his legacy. I just think TNA did a bad job of what he's done within TNA and kind of made their title a laughingstock. Next question is from Bears Lover 92. What do you think of TNA not giving two shits about the X Division? I know they have the Asylum match at Hard Justice, but they dropped the ball. They dropped a title match from an anniversary show of Impact for an extra 3 minutes of a dragged-out women's match and a video package that wasn't needed for hyping the Morgan and AJ Styles match. Really, TNA, really, I gotta agree with you right there. TNA just hasn't really give two shits about the X Division. which is a sad thing. They haven't done anything good with the X Division. Now, the one thing at the last pay-per-view, I was hoping that they would have had Homicide go over Samoa Joe and kind of give some credibility back in the X Division right there with someone like Homicide defeating a guy like Samoa Joe. That would have gave Homicide a lot of credibility and the X Division credibility. Now it's just Samoa Joe. It's a huge step back for him holding the X Division Championship. Maybe, you know, Christopher Daniels defeating Samoa Joe for the X Division Championship. Maybe someone like Christopher Daniels can bring a little prestige back into it, a little meaning to it. But TNA has done so bad with it, I don't know if they could. But it's not. I guess it's not too late to try something with it. But Daniels is going to have a excellent title reign and have a very lengthy title reign to gain any prestige back into that title. Is it time for the WWE to bring back the Cruiserweight title? Because guys like Brian Kendricks and Jamie Noble are never going to get a proper push unless they are just incredibly good like Evan Bourne or Rey Mysterio. Vince doesn't like small guys going for mid-card titles, and I think it's time for the Cruiserweight title to come back. What do you think? As far as the Cruiserweight title, I would say keep it dead and buried. Now, the one thing is, if the Cruiserweight title, now this is the only way I would say bring it back, and this is the only way it would work, is if the Cruiserweight title is actually put there to, you know, have guys like a Jamie Noble or an Evan Bourne or, you know, smaller guys within WWE actually, you know, have it be like a different type of division, kind of have it be an alternative to, you know, the main eventers and something like that, kind of like an X Division title, have it be something like that, and don't use it as a title to hold back people, then it would work. If you don't do that, just keep it dead and buried. The Cruiserweight title has pretty much, with, you know, Hornswoggle having it, Jacqueline having it, Chavo Sr., Oklahoma during the dying days of WCW, Medusa, just stuff like that has pretty much killed any meaning that Cruiserweight title has ever had. Next question is from Instant Classic G1. Why, with the cards they present in the edgy storylines, does PWG not expand and gain more of an audience? Well, the one thing I think that really hurts PWG, and I like PWG, I think it's a good organization now, the one thing I think that kind of holds them back is they really don't do a good job promoting themselves. I think that's the one problem right there. Not only I don't think they promote themselves very well online, I think they even do a worse job as far as promoting within their local areas. I don't think they do a good job doing that. That's one thing you could say right there. Now, the other thing is, I really don't like buying too much stuff from High Spots. That kind of hurts them right there as far as a DVD market. Hopefully, you know, Ring of Honor, they start carrying all of their, you know, I know Ring of Honor starting to carry the PWG stuff, so that's definitely going to help them out. Hopefully they start carrying, you know, all the newer shows. They start doing that, I'll actually check PWG out more frequently. It's just, you know, High Spots and ordering from their, you know, their own website. They're not bad at sending you stuff, just sometimes it takes forever, whereas Ring of Honor, I can order something on there and get it within 3 or 4 days. And that's the way, you know, all companies should handle their stuff as far as shipping it out. You shouldn't have to wait, you know, 2 weeks for a fucking DVD to come in the mail. That's one thing I have a problem with High Spots. They take forever for your package to come in the mail. I think that's one problem a lot of people have with High Spots as well. But I think they do present a lot of good cards. It's just they don't do a good job with promotion. I think their DVD distribution with High Spots isn't as good as what it should be. Next question is from Random1110. Do you think people will still watch WWE after Vince McMahon dies, and who do you think will take over? As far as that, yeah, people are going to watch WWE after Vince McMahon dies. WWE is pretty much going to be always around. If pro wrestling's around, WWE is going to be around, because if WWE dies, pretty much professional wrestling dies, I think, if WWE goes out of business, unless TNA somehow, you know, gets 4 to 5 million more viewers, which is probably impossible for them to ever do. But WWE is always going to be around. Unless professional wrestling dies, WWE is always going to be around. Who will take control? I think that's a no-brainer. I think everyone knows who it's going to be. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon will be the ones to take over, and I think that's not a bad thing. Triple H, I think, you know, after he's not an active wrestler, I think he has a good mind for the business. I think he would handle WWE pretty good. He might even handle it better than Vince McMahon. I just think it's bad for him to have too much control while he's an active performer, and he can control what he does in the ring. That's one thing that's really bad, you know, when someone has that much control. just look at what WCW did with Hulk Hogan. That just proves that wrestlers shouldn't have too much control of what they can do while they're an active performer. When they're not an active performer, hell, they can book whatever way they want then, since they ain't going to have say-so in what they're going to do and how they're going to put themselves over. Do you think 3 to 5 years down the line, if Brock Lesnar becomes one of the best heavyweight champions of all time in UFC, and will most MMA fans will forget about his WWE career? No, that's the one thing that will never happen. MMA fans are always, no matter how much success Brock Lesnar has within mixed martial arts and the UFC, no matter how much success he has and how good he does, they're always going to take shots at him being a former professional wrestler for WWE. That's never going to disappear, and it will never disappear, and they will never give him credit. He could pretty much go undefeated for the next 3 to 5 years, never lose to anyone, but some MMA fans are going to still be against him and say, oh, he got lucky this time, or something like that, They'll come up with some type of claim why he was able to win that time. Next question is from the same user. Last one from random1110. Do you think WrestleMania should come to the United Kingdom or anywhere outside of North America? I think that'll be an interesting thing to happen. Now, the one thing is that kind of hurts them from going outside of North America is the time difference. Because obviously, if they go to the United Kingdom, the one thing is, okay, if you do that, obviously you'll have to air it earlier if you want to do a live pay-per-view. Obviously, they're not going to do a tape pay-per-view for WrestleMania, so they're going to do it live. If they did that, they would pretty much, want to, have to, do it like at, I guess, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Pacific, because obviously you don't want to do a pay-per-view earlier than 12 Pacific right there, and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then that would be, 8 p.m. over in the UK, 8 to midnight. I think that would work. But other than that, that's the only way it will work out, and that's probably one of the reasons, due to the time differences, that it will never happen, unfortunately. I know they did it at SummerSlam 92. That's the only time a pay-per-view has been outside of North America right there, and I can't remember how they did that back then. That's so long ago. But just with the time differences, and obviously they're not going to want to do a tape pay-per-view at this point in time, so obviously I don't think it will ever happen, but it is a good idea, because if they did it in the United Kingdom, I think probably the best place to do it is probably at Wembley Stadium if they do it there. Be cool to see it in, Budokan Hall or the Tokyo Dome in Japan, but hell, they're even 12 to 13 hours ahead of us, so obviously with that will not work either. I mean, the only way that would work is if, hell, they wrestled at 6 or 7 a.m. in Japan and aired it, at the normal time over here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right there. But that would obviously never work. They would never do that. But it would be interesting to see. Next question is from Fitzgerald434. With all the hype around WrestleMania 26 with The Rock and Cena, do you think Rock versus Cena will happen? And if the match happens, would you want to see the match? I think that match, it has a little chance of happening. I don't think it's going to happen, but it has a slight chance of happening. WWE offers Rock enough money, and he doesn't have a film that he's filming at that point. He might take it. I mean, it's a match that will really draw a lot of money, and I don't think it will be an excellent in-ring match or anything. I think it would be a very entertaining match, kind of like Rock and Hogan. That was at least an entertaining match, I felt. And Hogan and Warrior, it'd be kind of like that. It'd be a really big draw, and I think everyone would want to see it. I know some people claim, oh, I don't want to see that, but I think most people will not have a problem seeing it. I would not have no problem seeing it. I think it would be at least interesting to see. Next question is from MB69 Rated R. Do you think Bryan Danielson is overrated? It seems like people are taking his gimmick too seriously, and if he is not overrated, they would probably make William Regal God if he went to Ring of Honor. The one thing is, I'm pretty sure you already know my response to this question is going to be, no, Bryan Danielson isn't overrated. Now, the reason why a lot of people claim he's the wrestler, the best wrestler in the world, I think he's the best wrestler in the world going today. I think the only other person that rivals him is Kurt Angle, but I think Bryan Danielson is probably at this point right now better than what Kurt Angle is. Bryan Danielson is such a gifted performer within the ring. He's pretty much one of the guys that there's very few guys within the wrestling industry that pretty much can be going against anyone and make a good match out of everyone he takes on pretty much. I mean, this guy Bryan Danielson had a match at some indie show with Kamala, and I actually could say it wasn't a great, technical match or anything, but it was at least somewhat of an interesting and entertaining match. I at least found it entertaining. I've never found anything Kamala did as entertaining, even though the thing they did at Supercard of Honor 4 this year with Bobby Dempsey, that was kind of, funny right there, but I thought Bryan Danielson made, a good thing out of him. Bryan Danielson is great on the mic as well. That's the one common misconception with Bryan Danielson, is he's not good on the mic. Bryan Danielson is good on the mic. It's just, if you just need to check out his promos, he's very good on the mic, and I would not say he's overrated, and I don't think people are taking his gimmick too seriously. I think someone with that type of gimmick, they really have to back it up, and I think Bryan Danielson has easily backed it up. During his Ring of Honor 15-month title reign, I mean, there were probably 100 matches within that title reign that I could probably say easily were 4 stars or better, or I've at least seen 100 Bryan Danielson matches that are 4-star or better, and there's very few wrestlers I could say that with, that they definitely, without question, have had that many, 4-star matches. That's something I can not say about that many wrestlers. Probably just a handful of people I could say that. So no, I wouldn't say he's overrated, and I think he backs up his gimmick. He goes in there and shows why he's the best. Team Canada, and you had Alex Shelley and Johnny Candido teaming up. This was when they were doing the thing with the Candido Cup after a couple months after the passing of Chris Candido, and you had Johnny Candido and Alex Shelley team up together. That was not, nothing good to see them two team up with, but it was a pretty decent tag match. You saw not only the main event was X Division matches, you saw 2 other matches that could be classified as X Division type matches that were pretty solid. You had Sabin versus P.D. Williams, and you had Austin Aries versus Roderick Strong in the opener of the pay-per-view, which was very good. And you had Abyss versus Sabu, which was something cool to see. Like Raven and Rhino, neither one of those were, an excellent match, but they were both 2 good hardcore contests. And as far as the 2005 pay-per-view, that's easily my favorite TNA pay-per-view of all time. And I think that's probably one of TNA's best pay-per-views of that year in 2005. Even though Lockdown 2005, I almost selected that as my best favorite pay-per-view, but I felt, just the 3-way X Division title match with Joe, Daniels, and Styles, that's the main event. And the rest of the card was pretty solid. I had to choose Unbreakable 2005. Next question is from the same user. If WWE gave you a job and had you select 15 workers that are Matt Hardy over Jeff Hardy, just because I think Matt Hardy, I think he has more of a passion for the wrestling business. I think Jeff Hardy at one point, he had passion for the wrestling business, but now I feel that unlike Matt Hardy, I think Jeff Hardy, he just does it, as a job. That's the way a lot of professional wrestlers, pretty much their career kind of goes. They do something as a hobby, they like doing it, then they just pretty much do it as a job, which isn't bad, because obviously Jeff Hardy, has to do it, to pay the bills, but I think he's lost his passion just a little bit for professional wrestling. Now he's just doing as, a typical day job, where Matt Hardy, I think, still has the passion. And I think Matt Hardy's the more, superior in-ring worker out of the two. Now, out of the two, which one is more entertaining and marketable? Obviously, Jeff Hardy. I'm not the hugest Jeff Hardy fan, but I'll at least admit, Jeff Hardy, he's obviously the marketable one out of the two, and he's actually one that people could say, is exciting, worker. He's not a great in-ring technician, but he's a great, entertainer, kind of like, Cena, kind of like Rock, Austin, Hogan, that type of entertainer, where he's not technically, a great in-ring worker, but he gets the crowd so involved that, he does a good job of entertaining the fans. But Matt Hardy, I would say, is the more superior in-ring worker. Plus, I feel this is my Q&A for this Thursday, August 20th, 2009. And within this Q&A, now I'm going to split these questions up into 2 separate Q&As. So if you don't see your question answered within this video, it'll be answered within the next Q&A. Not sure when I'll do that, because I know tomorrow I'm going to be doing my little preview and predictions for the WWE SummerSlam pay-per-view that's coming up this Sunday. Might do it Saturday, but not quite sure. But I should start, saying when I do a Q&A video, say I'll, do it at some point instead of saying I'll do it this separate day, because I did say I would do this Q&A last Friday or Saturday, I think, but something came up, couldn't do it. I didn't do it right then. So not sure when I'm going to do that. Might do it Saturday, but don't take me on my word for that. But I will definitely do it at the latest sometime next week at sometime. So if the question isn't answered in this one, it will be answered in the next one, because I did get a ton of questions. Definitely I thank all of you for sending them in. So like I said, if it's not answered in this one, it will be answered in the other one, because I am pretty much answering every single question that y'all did send to me, unless it's like a repeat or something that I've already answered before. First question is from Kingpin88. What Hardy do you like more and why? Out of the Hardys, Matt and Jeff Hardy, I prefer Matt that are not in WWE at this point. Who would those 15 be? The 15 people would be, which a lot of these are predictable. A lot of these people probably know I'm going to select them. There's a few that some people might be surprised, like I'm including them in 15 people I would select. Bryan Danielson, that's a no-brainer. You have to get him. Nigel McGuinness, just like Danielson, pretty much a no-brainer. I would get Kenta. Kenta's probably one of the greatest wrestlers going today in Japan. He's definitely had a great year. I would say this year in 2009, he's easily the MVP of 2009, Wrestler of the Year of 2009. At this point, you already got 4 months left within this year, but I think it's okay to already pencil in that Kenta is Wrestler of the Year. Next one might surprise some people, and that is Kota Ibushi. I really enjoy his work, and I think with some of the talent I got in here, especially with Kenta, he could work very good. Mike Quackenbush, I think Mike Quackenbush is one of those guys that obviously he does a lot of stuff with Shikara. He's pretty much the founder of Shikara. I would like to see him in the Ring of Honor more, but obviously since he's got a lot of commitments with the Shikara organization, with training, production and everything like that, pretty much doing all that, he cannot work in the Ring of Honor that much, which is unfortunate, because I would really look, even though neither one I would say is really great on the mic, but I'll say Matt Hardy is a tad bit better than Jeff Hardy on the mic. Jeff Hardy at times, 1 or 2 times I've seen him, when he's really motivated or there's a really good feud going on, he could actually cut a pretty decent promo. But like I said, I'll still choose Matt Hardy over Jeff Hardy, and that's probably a lot of people obviously choose Jeff Hardy. I'm probably in the minority there by selecting Matt Hardy. Next question, same user. What TNA pay-per-view is your favorite? My favorite TNA pay-per-view is Unbreakable 2005. This, in my opinion, is TNA's best pay-per-view for a couple reasons. I thought the card for this pay-per-view was pretty good. And the main event right here is easily TNA's best match of all time. And it's easily a 5-star classic, and that's the AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe Unbreakable 3-way classic. But you had other stuff on this pay-per-view that was good. Not only did you have the X Division talent in the main event, you had 3 of your homegrown talent in the main event. That made it very good. You actually had a decent world title match on here with Raven and Rhino. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it was pretty solid, I thought. You had a pretty decent 4-way tag team title match, which had the Naturals, America's Most Wanted,